My fiancée changed right after I proposed, and now her friends call me toxic. Am I in the wrong for wanting to end the engagement? I'm 32 and recently proposed to my girlfriend of 2 years, Sharon, 30, about a month and a half ago. It felt like the moment I put the ring on her finger, her attitude did a complete 180. During our relationship, we seemed exceptionally compatible, sharing common beliefs and morals. After I proposed, she said yes, and I thought we were in a happy place. But within a week, her behavior flipped. One day, I came home to 6 women I'd never met before, and Sharon introduced them to me. I was confused about why I was just now meeting them since I already knew her 2 best friends, Michelle and Octavia, who weren't there. Sharon explained she wanted to ensure we were a solid couple before introducing me to her inner circle. I found this strange, especially since it was a weeknight and they quickly drained my wine rack. Although Sharon still had her own place, she stayed with me so often it felt like she lived here. I thought it was incredibly rude when they left with 4 empty bottles of rosé. I tried discussing my concerns about uninvited guests on weeknights, but she dismissed my feelings flippantly. To make matters worse, in the following weeks, she went out with her friends several times, even bringing them to my place without notice, twice. Once was with notice, which she said was to appease me. They all treated me like a butler, shaking their empty wine glasses at me for refills. After the 4th time, I made it clear I'd be getting a locked wine rack. Sharon called me no fun after that. Things got worse when she decided we should have dinner together to mend things. I went, but it was uncomfortable. The 6 women kept peppering me with questions about my life, my house, and my career, while deflecting every question I asked. The conversation took a turn when they started discussing modern relationships, jealousy, and polyamory. To my shock, Sharon suggested we shouldn't be too hasty with decisions about these topics. This was a complete 180 from her previous stance, where she'd been vehemently against keeping exes in friend circles and was staunchly monogamous. The worst moment came when the bill arrived. Sharon announced we should split it and slid me the check. I couldn't believe it, and we ended up arguing. I paid my share in cash and walked out, leaving them to sort the rest. In the days that followed, Sharon kept calling me toxic and fragile. Each time I pressed her, she'd apologize and say she was just stressed at work. It's insane. We haven't even planned the wedding yet. The worst part was this Monday when I got a Nest doorbell alert at work. I checked and saw Sharon and one of her new friends arriving at my place, leaving with my golf clubs. This set was a gift from my father and cost a pretty penny, so Sharon lending it out without my permission really pissed me off. I immediately called her and her friend, demanding they return the clubs. Sharon tried to gaslight me, saying I had promised to lend them to her boyfriend. I told her the value of the clubs made it serious, and they had an hour to return them or I'd call the cops. She kept insisting she had my permission, but I told her to cut the crap. Not 45 minutes later, I got another notification of Sharon and her friend returning with the clubs. I saw them coming inside, and her friend flipped off the Nest doorbell on the way out. When I got home, I found the clubs just tossed on the living room floor. Sharon tried to talk to me about my toxicity again, but I cut her off. I told her that if I had known she would act like this, I would have never proposed. That seemed to freak her out. She kept insisting she was just stressed from work, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I told her to return the ring and her key, and that we'd talk about our relationship this weekend. She cried and begged me not to cancel the engagement, insisting it was just stress. I reiterated that we'd discuss it then. Eventually, she relented. I even rekeyed my house afterward, just to be safe. Since then, Sharon has been sending me constant messages of love and apologies, saying she got swept up in everything. She claimed she just wanted to show me off to her close friends, but I'm not buying it. Those same friends have been texting me daily, calling me toxic and fragile, insisting I'm not secure enough for Sharon or to share her with them. Some of my friends who have known Sharon throughout our 2-year relationship are shocked at how quickly she's changed. They believe something must be missing or that I'm leaving something out. They think I must have said something to trigger her friends and that I'm the one at fault here. It's a lot to process from all directions. One comment I received said, 2 years? And she didn't introduce you to these friends? She knows how terrible they are. She put on a show to get the ring, and now that she thinks she has you locked down, she's showing her true colors. Unless you're leaving something out, you're definitely not the a-hole. You have standards. What she did at the restaurant and with the clubs is toxic. It seems like she wants to show them she has you wrapped around her finger, willing to let her do whatever she wants. I wouldn't give her another chance to use you. No one who loves you would treat you like this, friends or not. Another commenter agreed, saying, "No one hides an important part of their life for 2 whole years. I wonder if she's had people dump her before because of those friends. Either way, it seems like I'm lucky to see this side of her now and can move on from this crazy situation." I'd be tempted to reach out to her best friends, though. I'm curious about what they know. One commenter said, "If you're even considering resuming this relationship, make it clear that based on her actions so far, you'd want a prenup with full financial separation before thinking about marriage. Her reaction will be enlightening." Another advised to quit while I'm ahead and be grateful the mask slipped before the wedding. Then someone else pointed out, "You mentioned meeting 2 of her friends, Michelle and Octavia. Have they said anything about this sudden change in behavior or the 6 strangers?" I replied, "I messaged Michelle on Facebook last night. She told me that she, Octavia, and Sharon are cousins who grew up together. Michelle mentioned she didn't care for the 6 but didn't elaborate." The response was clear. "Oh no, dude, you need to end this relationship. She's been putting on a false front. She knows how toxic those friends are and figured once you proposed, you wouldn't leave. The person you dated for 2 years? That was just a facade to get the proposal, like abusers who don't show their true colors until after marriage. They hide it because they know revealing it too soon will scare their partner away. They wait until the commitment is deep enough before exposing their true desires. But in this case, she showed her cards too early, too fast. You should kick her to the curb immediately. Call her out on every attempt to gaslight you. Each time she cries or blames stress, ask why she lies 100% of the time. Do this in front of her friends. If she's telling the truth, invite them over for a full evening where she will openly disagree with their views on polygamy and open relationships. If she's truly stressed, she should be willing to call them and admit that everything she previously said with them was false. Otherwise, this is who she is. A person who gave you a comforting lie in private because it was easy to hide. Now you see her true self, and it's time to move on. Dump her and start dating Michelle. Now on to the next story. Story 2. An update. 1 year later. I'm rethinking having kids with my wife after discovering something disturbing about her father. Am I the asshole? Original post, my wife, Jessica, 32F, and I, 30M, have been married for 2 years, and we've been trying for a baby. Jessica has an older sister, Mary, but they aren't close. Jessica told me they had a big falling out due to some family drama, so they don't speak anymore. I've asked her a few times about what happened, but she always says she doesn't like talking about it and doesn't think it's important. Yesterday was Jessica's brother's birthday, and we all went over to his house to celebrate. Mary showed up, and things quickly turned into a scene. Mary accused Jessica and her brothers of continuing to associate with their father, even though they know he's a child molester. No one paid Mary much attention, but I was completely shocked and confused by what was going on. After Mary left, and Jessica and I were back home, I asked her what the hell that was all about. Jessica admitted that when they were kids, Mary had accused their dad of molesting her. I asked Jessica if it was true, and she started stuttering a lot. She eventually admitted that she knew her dad had done some bad things, but explained that Mary cut ties with the family when she turned 18 and moved out. I asked if she was acknowledging that her dad had harmed his own daughter. Jessica said he doesn't do that anymore, that he was going through a tough time back then, and that he apologized to Mary, so there was nothing more anyone could do for her. I was shocked and felt terrible for Mary. Jessica made it seem as though Mary had done something wrong and deserved to be distanced from the family. I never would have imagined this is what had happened. I asked Jessica if she expected me to be okay with having her father around our future children. She started raising her voice, saying that I was judging him based on something that happened 2 decades ago and that, whether I liked it or not, he would be our child's grandfather and would be part of their lives. I told her that if she insisted on this, we should hold off on having children and have serious discussions about the situation. She's extremely upset with me, but I don't know what else I could have done. To me, this feels like a huge issue that she's downplaying. Relevant commenter. You're not in the wrong. You should talk to someone from RAIN, an organization that helps victims of sexual abuse. This isn't something small. It's a serious crime. I know someone who went through child abuse, and even years later, after a lot of therapy, she's still struggling. You need to get out of this situation. OP. I wish I could describe how Mary looked and sounded when she confronted her siblings that day. It sent chills down my spine. She looked both furious and defeated at the same time, while they all stared at her like she was overreacting. I still can't fully understand it. I want to reach out to Mary and check if she's doing okay, but I'm unsure if it would be appropriate. Commenter. You're definitely not wrong. It's concerning that someone could overlook something like that. Can you imagine leaving a future child with grandpa for the night? That's unsettling. Even if you divorced her later because of this, once you have kids, it might be difficult to get full custody. If her father was never reported to the police or convicted, you wouldn't have a legal case to keep him away from your children. It's a difficult situation. I can't believe you've been married for 2 years before finding out about this. OP. That's exactly what's worrying me. He was never reported or convicted, and there's no official record of what happened. I'd have no legal way to keep him away from our future children. I feel powerless in how I could protect them, and now I'm questioning if I should even have children with her given everything I've learned. Commenter. She probably did everything she could to keep this hidden from you during your relationship. OP. I think that's what upsets me the most. She had so many opportunities to tell me the truth, but instead, she actively chose to keep it from me. If Mary hadn't shown up at the birthday party, I'd still be completely unaware of any of this. Top comment. It's concerning that this situation was hidden from you. It's a difficult thing to process. Pedophiles rarely change their behavior, and it's not something you can overlook when considering having children. Update post. It's been nearly a year since I made my original post, and I thought I'd provide an update. A few days after the initial post, I sat Jessica down and told her how I was feeling. I explained that I couldn't accept how she and her family treated Mary. They knew what her father had done, but still chose to side with him, making Mary seem like the one in the wrong. I also told her that I couldn't just ignore her father's actions, especially if we were planning to have children. Jessica didn't say a word. She didn't try to explain or defend herself or her family. She just stared at me quietly, as though she wasn't interested in what I was saying and just wanted the conversation to end. It was unsettling. I told Jessica that I needed time to think, and I was going to leave for a while to figure out what I wanted to do. Suddenly, she was paying attention. She seemed shocked and panicked, begging me not to leave. She said I would get over it in a few days and that things would return to normal once everything settled down. She insisted that every family has skeletons in their closet, and that this situation shouldn't define our marriage. I told her no, and I left the house for a few days. During that time, I ignored all her calls and those from her family. I decided to reach out to Mary on Facebook. I sent her a long message, apologizing for not knowing what she had gone through and expressing how sorry I was for how her family had treated her. I told her she could reach out to me if she ever needed anything. Mary replied and asked if we could meet for coffee. We met the next day. At first, we made small talk, and then she asked if I would be okay hearing her side of the story. I told her I was more than willing to listen. Mary shared everything her father had done and how her family treated her after she confided in them. I felt physically ill listening to her. She also told me that Jessica had been spreading rumors, telling her friends that Mary had a mental condition that caused hallucinations. Jessica said this as a preemptive excuse, just in case Mary ever started telling people about what happened. That's why many people still believe Mary has a mental illness, because of Jessica's lies. After that conversation, I knew I had to end things with Jessica. I went to our house and told her I wanted a divorce. I explained that I couldn't bear the thought of being her husband or being part of their toxic family. All Jessica did was cry and ask if I was doing all of this because of Mary. At that moment, I realized she hadn't changed. She was still the same person who had done all those things to Mary and was continuing to hurt her. We're not officially divorced yet, but we've been separated since then and are going through the process. It's just taking longer than I expected to finalize everything. In the meantime, Mary and I have become friends. I invited Mary to a birthday dinner my family was hosting for me, and she really hit it off with my cousin. He's crazy about her, and she seems really happy with him too. He keeps asking me if it would be too soon to propose, and I have to remind him not to scare her off, lol. But honestly, they have such a wholesome relationship, and I'm really happy for them. As for me, I'm just taking things one day at a time. Divorces are tough, but I know I made the right choice. I want to thank everyone who gave me advice and responded to my posts. It really means a lot to me. Relevant comments. Comment 1. WTF. Did I just read? Do all families have skeletons? This isn't just a skeleton, it's an entire cemetery. Reply, family skeletons are usually minor or trivial, at least in my family. This was more like a full-on conspiracy to make Mary look like she'd lost her mind while they protected a terrible secret. OP definitely made the right decision to walk away from that mess. Comment 2. Mine aren't trivial, but it's stuff like addiction, untreated mental health issues. Nothing like defending what happened here. There's a huge difference. Comment 3. The fact that Jessica cried and asked if this was all for Mary, but didn't express any concern about what her father had done, shows her true colors. Comment 4. I'm shocked to even share space with someone like her. This whole situation makes me sick. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more real-life stories like this. Thank you for watching.